Proverbs 17:14. The beginning of strife is as when one letteth out water. Therefore leave off contention before it be meddled with. Strife is always much bigger than we anticipated. It's like a dam that has some flowing water going over the top and soon eats away and a deluge of water descends upon those below. Strife or contention is a product of pride. The Bible is very specific. Only, Proverbs 13:10, only by pride cometh contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom. Now we know that Satan's big sin was and is pride. I'm going to read several verses and let's note some things. We find it in Ezekiel chapter 28, beginning in verse 13. Thou hast been in the Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardius, topaz, the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. All that shows his beauty. It goes on to say, the workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was repaired in thee in the day that thou wast created. That speaks of his ability. Ability as a musician. It's talking about pipes like in an organ. It goes on and says, thou art the anointed cherub that covereth. And I have set thee so that thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Here we see his exalted position. We go to Isaiah, we find there are 4 cherub that are round about the throne. But evidently he was a 5th that covered as they were on all 4 sides. Because it says, thou art the anointed cherub that covereth. It goes on to say, thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. By the multitude of thy merchandise they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God. I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. If there's one thing that Satan wants and loves, is conflict. I believe he revels in getting men to fight with each other. You know, like rushing waters that can cut through soil and carry it away, so does strife bring great destruction, and it can happen so quickly. Though we must stand for what is right, this fighting isn't over right, but who wants their way. You know, it's wise to never meddle or interfere in the affairs of another. Unless absolutely necessary, strife ought to be avoided. There are 2 things that I find that can avoid conflict. One is the right look on our face, our countenance. Proverbs 16:15 says, in the light of the king's countenance is life, and his favor is as a cloud of the latter rain. I believe the other is the right tone of our tongue. Proverbs 15:1, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Even when we must correct someone because of transgression, the right attitude is necessary. In Galatians it says, brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness. It's not arguing, it's not a conflict, it's a seeking of a restoration, and it's to be done in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted.